Honesty, passion, experience. It's Timberwolves Explosion, hosted on the sportstuff.com. And now, your host, Paladino Joey. Hello again, Timberwolves fans. Are you ready for the explosion of Timberwolves basketball? I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey at Wige, and Timberwolves Explosion is available on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Double Twist. Extra, hear all about it. Extra, hear all about it. A very unexpected move after a pretty nice blowout victory over the Los Angeles Lakers, and most recently a pretty nice comeback and crushing of the Orlando Magic. The Minnesota Timberwolves have fired president and coach Tom Thibodeau.
Oh my God!
This was quite a shock. We kind of knew it was coming end of the year or whatever, but maybe just Glenn Taylor and the CEO and all that decided, like, whatever. It's just, we just have to make this move now for whatever reason. Whatever it is, I'm not sure. There must have been just too much going on. You'll be hearing about it from other players, other members in the Timberwolves Explosion Facebook page and such. That's kind of the thought process of a lot of us, wondering what the heck is really going on. Why would it happen so quickly? Other than, I guess, just get it over with, that type of thing. Maybe the relationships were just too damaged, too frayed at this point, and you don't want it to get any worse and have players pout and want to be traded by the trade deadline. Or they're just tired of the whole Timber Bulls movement. Timber Bulls, yeah, we all know what that is. And, of course, Derrick Rose hasn't played since that Atlanta game, since limping off during the Atlanta game, heading into overtime. Robert Covington hasn't played in a few games. He may be out for a bit as well, recovering from that sore knee situation, and actually a bone contusion at the same time as well. So he needs to heal for a while there. Bruise on his leg there, Mr. Robert Covington. That's kind of important, obviously. So here we are, looking for a new head coach. At some point, Ryan Saunders will be the interim coach for the rest of the year. That is what people are talking about, and the name that keeps floating about, of course, is Fred Hoiberg as possibly the general manager, the new general manager. So, interesting conversation here. I will not focus on a single game. I will not even talk about the whole Jimmy Butler thing, but then again, you could kind of tie that together, I suppose, because the whole Jimmy Butler being unhappy in Philadelphia 76er land, but maybe I'll save that for the next regular show, which will be on Friday. This is just an extra, basically, because it's pretty big news, and figure we'll talk about what you guys have to say and my thoughts about the whole situation. Interesting, exciting hire at the time, but back at the time, April 2016, you'll hear there was a little bit of, I just wasn't sure about if he was the right guy to hire at the time. I mean, it was exciting when it happened, but before it happened, it's like, is he really the right guy? Is he really going to mesh well with the young players? Is he really going to be somebody that's going to be difficult to deal with, especially if he's the president of basketball and the head coach? Is it really going to be a match? And, well, that answer is a resounding no, apparently. It was exciting when Tom Thibodeau traded for Jimmy Butler at the time, but you gave up Zach LaVine, and obviously a popular player and a player that's, there's more value to him than just being popular. Obviously, he's an explosive scorer, and then everybody now bitching and moaning that, hey, you should have traded Andrew Wiggins instead of Zach LaVine. I hear you, but believe me, I hear you. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe Andrew Wiggins would have done better in Chicago, and we would have been bitching, moaning, and saying we should have traded Zach LaVine. We just don't know. We don't know how things are going to change when players go to a different location, and they're the man. If Andrew Wiggins got to be the number one scoring option every single night for a team, I think he would take off. I do. I think when Karl Anthony Towns came on board, Andrew Wiggins seemed to kind of like go, oh, man, I have to be second fiddle. It kind of felt that way. But at the end of the day, we're not talking about necessarily Andrew Wiggins versus Karl Anthony Towns being the number one scoring option. It's more of the whole situation that is, it became an ongoing problem. The whole Jimmy Butler saga, the whole time it looked like nobody was happy. It looked like Karl and Tom never seemed to get along. Karl Anthony Towns and Tom Thibodeau, of course. Jimmy Butler was constantly getting under people's skin all the time throughout the last season and throughout the summer. He was just continuing leaving subtle messages that were so subtle they could be like Mount Vesuvius going off at times. But, maybe not quite that bad. But they were pretty obvious, let's just say, that he wasn't happy here, didn't like the young stars of the team, wasn't impressed with them at all, didn't think they worked hard enough, this and that, just fed up with them and all that. but clearly there just wasn't a match with Jimmy Butler, with the current group of players, the current organization. There wasn't really a fit with Jimmy Butler and Tom Thibodeau. Andrew Wiggins and Tom Thibodeau, I have no idea. I have no idea what to make of that. Who knows? Maybe another younger coach will be a better fit for Andrew Wiggins. I think absolutely it'll be a better match for Karl Anthony Towns and probably other players on the team. Loved the way Tyus Jones played the last few games, the last few weeks here, in the absences of Jeff Teague and such. What's going to happen now with Derrick Rose? Who knows what's going to happen? Is Derrick Rose going to return to the Timberwolves next year? Less than 50%. It seemed like the marketing of the Timberwolves were fascinated with the whole Derrick Rose and everything. Derrick Rose merchandise, Derrick Rose this, Derrick Rose that. So it does appear like they want to keep him around as long as possible. We'll see, though, where this heads, because it was kind of a package deal, just like Butler and Thibodeau. And when that blew up the way it did, Tom Thibodeau's career for Minnesota was cut very short, and shorter than he thought, apparently. We'll get to some interesting tweet that came out not too long ago, the details of what took place from the Wojbomb himself. Will, who is Twitter is at Timberwolves, all in caps. Interesting combination there. We'll get to that one in just a heartbeat here. But, is it a package deal with Derrick Rose? I think probably, maybe, sort of. I've loved the way Jeff Teague has played the past few games, this and that. But, no, the whole era of Tom Thibodeau, it just seemed like an era of unhappiness, like trying to pound a square peg through a round hole. And it's a terminology that's tired. It's a terminology that's been used a quadrillion times in sports, but it applies to this whole situation completely. You're pounding a square peg through a round hole. I mean, he just did not mesh with this team ever. This head coach did not mesh with this team. This president of basketball operations never should have been the president of basketball operations, even though he has a great basketball mind, which he does. He has, obviously. I feel for him today because I can imagine how much this meant to him. I mean, you get to be a president of basketball, it's like a dream, and a head coach, and, your whole life is basketball. He doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have kids, this and that. This is his wife and kids. The game is his wife, and the players are his kids, this type of thing. But unfortunately, he's kind of like that father who's a little bit too hard on his kids, beating up on them too much, and that's kind of what the problem was, I think, at the end of the day. Though some other players did see him as a father figure, Derrick Rose, and supposedly Jimmy Butler until later on. I don't know, man. I mean, the handling of the Jimmy Butler situation pretty much sealed his doom. Why Glenn Taylor waited until now to do this is kind of weird, and I'm not sure. Was Glenn Taylor wanting to ride it out, and he figured, okay, never mind, fire him, basically. But I'm confused with the whole situation. So Will retweeted this. This was one of the, I believe I'm following Will. I must be. I don't know if he's following back. He might be. I have no idea. Doesn't matter. Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted this interesting detail. Minnesota CEO Ethan Kaysen and general manager Scott Layden walked into Tom Thibodeau's office and fired him after the Lakers' victory, league sources tell ESPN. Thibodeau was surprised at the timing, had no idea his ouster was imminent. Kaysen hadn't been a fan of the Thibodeau era. So, interesting stuff. So they literally kind of blindsided Tom Thibodeau today in his office. So, very, very interesting tweet there. That is really something. I better retweet that. I never actually did, so I'll pass on the information. Big time here. This is really something. See if I can retweet it properly. That would be great. Absolutely fascinating. I mean, fascinating. Yep. So there we go. Indeed. So I didn't really see Scott Layden as Tom Thibodeau's boss, but I'm confused with all that. Was Scott Layden actually Tom Thibodeau's boss? I'm not sure, but supposedly, so Scott Layden's staying on for now, and then the question now becomes, who's going to be the president of basketball operations? Who's going to be this? Who's going to be that? I don't know, but it looks like Fred Hoiberg has been floating around. That's the next name. So just like the Chicago Bulls, we're going to go from Tom Thibodeau to Fred Hoiberg, but maybe not as coach, but as general manager. Fred Hoiberg did serve as vice president of basketball operations behind president of basketball operations David Kahn, the very famous Kahn, as you'll see going on in the Facebook page. at Wolves Explosion on his Twitter account. Of course, this will be a very short show. This is mostly just kind of passing news on to all of you out there and giving you a chance to get on air and have some conversation as well. Any other details coming out, but mostly just Thibodeau was a bit blindsided here, and there'll be more to talk about on the next show. Just kind of passing this on at the time. I know everybody's like saying, why did this take so damn long? Well, yeah, in comparison to, oh, that sucks. Yeah, I feel bad for Bears fans. That was not good. I hate the Eagles, and I hate the Eagles fans even more. So, I'm not sure what to say. Yeah, why am I thinking about the Bears game right now? That's going to Purple Mafia. That's coming up momentarily here. Probably get started on that right after I close out, right after I sign off of this show. Facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion. Facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion is the Facebook page. Please do join that and comment. All of you are very welcome to conversate on there, especially when a thread like this pops up. I will be saving the Jimmy Butler thing for the next show. This is going to be a very short edition of the show, I believe. So let's get to this. I'm going to give a shout out to Flip's Army as well. Flip's Army, another page. Got a shout out to them. They're kind enough to allow me to post links to Timberwolves Explosion on that page. So thank you again, Trevor Wickerin, for allowing me to do that. And I encourage you to join that page. Good in-game threads, news, and all that. So like this type of conversation as well. And thank you to those of you that have posted in this thread. Of course, again, this was Yahoo. Timberwolves reportedly fire head coach and president Tom Thibodeau. And I thank Brent Jacobson for bringing it to my attention. The alert popped up and the text popped up at the same time. Now, thank you very much, Brent, though, because I might not have looked. Getting the text kind of wakes me up more than the alert sometimes. Yeah, it's going to be very fascinating. The football playoffs, that's in the background. Again, do check out Purple Mafia. That'll be coming out probably not too long after you download this show, I think, anyway, as long as I have time to get it done tonight. Let's get to the frickin' post here. Dan May, out of Australia, posts Captain Kirk, or was he Admiral Kirk at the time? I think he was still Captain Kirk, yelling, "Con!" Or as Hank McCoy / Wayne Hunt used to say, "Con!" Oh, I miss hearing that. Very fascinating. Mark Elkington, mentioning Jules Postorino. Man, I miss you very much. Jules Postorino, I miss you so much. Come back to the show. Talk more on this page, please. And Mark Elkington, thank you very much indeed. Jules says, this is a big like for me, Mark. Yep. Come on, say more, people. It's all quiet. No, I think there's a bit of a back and forth coming up here in a moment. Trying to see if I can get it to pop up, but we'll get to it. Vince Germano says, here I was thinking Walton was going to get the sack. Yeah, with the way the Laker game started today, I thought Walton was going to get the sack too. My goodness. That's again Luke Walton, the Lakers coach. Sebastian Barton, locally here. Again, Vince Germano, Australia, and the Courtside Podcast fame. Sebastian Barton says, so savage, out of left field, only the Wolves. Kalen Woods, Lakers fan, and of course a faithful of the Courtside Podcast, and thankfully does talk on this show at times, says especially after a win. Yeah, and again, that was against their club. Vince Germano continues, saying there's got to be more to this story. I think so, too. I think behind the scenes it was really bad. I do. I think some of those rumors were true. Wish I could have, when I went on my walk after a bit, because I like to go for a walk before doing a show sometimes, especially after watching a lot of stuff for as long as I did. I got to get out of the apartment and get some fresh air, even if it's dark outside. But, no, I mean, I would have loved to hear like a scoop podcast or something. I wish I could. Darren Doogie Wolf said just some kind of inside scoop as to what was going on there, because I think there's more than meets the eye. And some stuff is going to come out now. I do think some stuff is going to come out. Absolutely. These people above me are just something. There has to be more. It says 8, and I'm only seeing like 3 comments. What's going on here? This doesn't make any sense. This is driving me crazy. Just, I know there's more to this. That's what I don't like about this sometimes when it doesn't. Well, I saw Hank. Okay, let's go in a different direction. That's the only way to get it to work here. Okay, let's see what Forecaster had to say real quick. He says, hey, man, I was just going to message you about it. Finally. That's why he had a good game today. Why? Because he knew he was going to get fired. So, yep. So, Forecaster obviously quite happy about the decision. 18 comments. Why does it only show 8? That's really, really weird. I don't like the Facebook page. Yeah, look at this. There's way more. Levi Brown, expected, but the timing was not. Wayne Hunt says, but they smashed the Lakers today. And then it generated a bit of a conversation. And I was saying, yeah, it's really weird. Wayne continues saying they should have at least waited until the end of the year. I mean, 5-5 in their last 10 games, 2-game win streak. I can't see any interim coach stepping in and guiding them back to the playoffs. I can't either. It had to be something else, like a personal thing going on between somebody this, somebody that. It had to be a mess. There may be certain players on the team and Karl Anthony Towns. It just was getting toxic, I think. Toxic environment. That's my guess. Vince Romano continues saying, since the Butler trade, they are top 10 in D and offense. It's pretty amazing. According to the home broadcaster, says Vince Romano. Wayne Hunt says, go figure. Vince Romano comes back and says, something else had to have happened after the game. I'm beginning to wonder, too. It's weird. Something had to have happened. I think so, too. I'll tell you this. Hoiberg isn't the answer, continues Vince Romano. And Vince continues also saying, I reckon Taylor asked Thibs to just coach and relinquish the GM role. And Thibs said no. That could be because maybe they were looking to bring in possibly Fred Hoiberg as president of basketball. That could be what it is. Maybe Layden stays as GM. Hoiberg becomes the president of basketball. And Thibs would have to remain as just the coach only. And that could be what happened. Because this had to be some kind of a business move. Possibly something more toxic was going on behind the scenes. And it just was enough. But something else is going on, definitely. There is a decision being made behind the scenes that led to this firing today. Otherwise, I think they would have just waited it out till the end of the year. But a very expensive move, a very surprising move. And, it's interesting. Now we sit and wait and see what happens. Ryan Saunders will be the head coach for now. I have long been talking about having a much younger guy in his 30s or so, start off his coaching career and... hopefully, somebody that's got a great basketball mind, somebody that's got the energy, somebody that's got the ability to coach, but somebody that's got something proven, like a like a Brad Stevens. I was almost like saying Steven Adams, but no, it's Brad Stevens. Like a Brad Stevens, like a type. How Brad Stevens came in from Butler. It would be nice to get somebody who has coached a bit, because Ryan Saunders has only been an assistant coach so far. That's going to be weird to see him as a head coach, I think. Can he do it? Maybe. I don't know if he has the head coaching personality, though. I think, doesn't he seem like kind of a shy kind of guy? I don't know, and he's like 32. So, he's 32. I mean, I'm talking like 38, 39, 41, that type of young, not 32. But we'll see. Brad Stevens would be really something, obviously. Brad Stevens type of coach, like he was coming into the Celtics at the beginning there. And, I mean, that team has overachieved most of the time that he's been there. I thought the last year and a half they could have been a little better, but, I don't know, injuries and the star players, so to speak, they've gotten have been nothing but injured, basically. Kyrie Irving's always hurt. And, of course, Hayward, nobody could have, predicted that happening. But, no, some young blood. Is Ryan Saunders head coaching material? Maybe. I mean, he's been the son of a head coach forever, obviously. He's been on coaching staffs forever. So I guess he's kind of like the Kevin Stefanski of the Timberwolves in a lot of ways. If you're a Minnesota Viking fan as well, how Kevin Stefanski was an assistant with the Vikings for 12 freaking years. That's incredible. And he actually started for a year with Philadelphia with Brad Childress, came with Brad, and then has been with the Vikings ever since, slowly but surely moving up. So, and he's only 36 years old and the head coaching candidate for the Cleveland Browns. Definitely a dark horse, but you never know. Could be a similar situation with Ryan Saunders of Minnesota, I guess. But the head coach, that's pretty big responsibility there. But it's not like he's going to be the president of basketball, is it? So that's one thing to think about. Other names out there, it's just, again, I'm just thinking somebody in the college rankings who's young and ready to go. Fred Hoiberg can coach, but I think he's a college coach. I think if something happened with Richard Pitino got bored or for some reason got let go or got some job offer that he couldn't refuse, like something crazy, like Kentucky or something. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get that kind of a job, but you never know. Fred Hoiberg would be somebody I would welcome as a head coach of the Golden Gophers. Yes, Minnesota Golden Gophers. Though I'm guessing if he wanted to coach in college, he'd try to go back to somewhere in Iowa, northern Iowa, Iowa State, or Iowa itself, Iowa Hawkeyes, something like that. But no, I mean, Golden Gophers would be a name I would definitely he would definitely be way up at the top of the list, along with the Tim Mileses of the world. But maybe somebody like that, somebody younger, somebody in their 40s or upper 30s, who's coached in college at the very least, or is somebody who really, really, really is a legitimate head coaching candidate and like a top assistant somewhere that absolutely has head coaching in his future. People say Ryan Saunders does, but I don't know. I think it's a little early, a little raw. But, well, sink or swim, young man. This is it. This is it. We'll see. Maybe he is the guy. And God bless him if he is. And good luck to him. I'm rooting for you, Ryan. I'm rooting for you. I am. And God bless you. And hope for the best here, obviously, for him and his future endeavors with the Timberwolves as the head coach. With that, I'm probably going to sign off here. I don't have a whole lot else to say at the moment. Obviously, not a whole lot of trillion comments have come around. I mean, other than just kind of the same thing. Obviously, you go to other Facebook pages, it's the same old thing like, yay, finally he got fired. Finally, finally Thibs is gone. Finally, Thibs is gone. So you can only say that so many times before you're just like, kind of like, your eyes glaze over and you move on. So before your ears glaze over and you get tired of listening to me, I'm going to sign off and wish all of you a good week. And we'll be back on Friday, and we'll have seen a little bit of Ryan Saunders in action and see how he does. Until then, take care, everyone.